Hey, folks, welcome back to More Than a Refresh, the end of the universe. We are here with Justin Reock and Vincent Myers, and we are on another episode, gentlemen. What are we talking about? Say hi and tell us something to talk about.
Oh, hi. We're going to rant as usual
We're
Yeah.
going to rant.
and come up with zero solutions, but it'll be fun. That's what we normally do.
No, we come up with plenty of solutions. It's just nobody will listen to us.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
thought
we got
about
to.
I thought about dragging this out later to be like a twist mid-season or something. But Vincent's last name is Mayers, not Meyer.
And I keep saying Myers.
You keep saying
I'm
Myers.
sorry.
It's okay. It's not
Vincent
the worst.
Mayonnaise.
It's not the worst thing I've ever been called.
So this is our 6th episode, I think, and
God.
I've been calling you by the wrong name the entire
It's
time.
all right.
It'll
It's all right.
be a great little hook. It'll be a running thing. It'll be part of the
Well,
lore.
you
of the
didn't
show.
even know I was black the other day. That was funny.
I didn't know you're
No,
white
that's hilarious.
adjacent.
Yeah.
I mean,
Which is black because there
yeah,
isn't
which is
there isn't a
black.
checkbox for
According
that
to
on the
Barack
form.
Obama, yes.
Well, there isn't a checkbox for that on the form, man. So what do you expect? What do you want me to do? What do you want to say?
Yeah.
Oh,
no, there's a
look
great.
Look what my camera just did.
Yeah, there's a great comedian. Have you guys ever seen Henry Cho?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Henry Cho is Korean, 100%, born and bred, or he's born here, but he grew up in Knoxville, Tennessee, and he's our age, right? And back when they checked the box, basically the only options were black or white. So
wow.
according to the government, he's white.
Yeah.
So whenever he goes and like renews his license, they're like looking at his license and looking at him. It's like
They want to be sensitive. It's like
But,
that ultra white last name Cho. Very
oh
common.
no,
Is he that super tall guy? Is he super tall? Is he tall?
no, he's not.
Okay.
He's Korean.
Yeah. I mean, you get tall Korean people.
Hey now.
I mean, it's rare though, right?
Calm
I mean,
down.
Not really. Not really. You'd be surprised.
All right. Well, we are
All right, now
5
we
minutes
gotta-
in.
now-
We've already
now I gotta
dropped
check.
stereotypes and
How
racial
tall-
epithets. I'd say we're off to a
How
great
tall
start.
is Henry Cho?
Yeah.
Henry Cho is 5'9".
Okay.
So he is an average gentleman. But yeah,
Like-
so go ahead.
Now, if we were in the Middle Ages, he'd be a giant. So-
If he was in the Middle Ages,
Yeah.
he'd be giant, but he also wouldn't be in Europe. So, what you ran a conference this week, Vincent? What was that all about?
Yeah. So I ran a Vue.js conference.
Okay.
So we run the official US Vue.js conference, and the creator, the author, Evan Yu, comes over from Singapore every year and does a keynote and an update on the Vue ecosystem from his perspective and stuff like that. And it's a good little three day event, training day, 2 days of conference sessions. Happy hours with speakers. We had somebody from South Africa come. We had 4 people from Norway and a couple of people from Brazil. I was like, wow, how did you guys find out about this? But the internet is a wonderful thing, apparently.
Well, and Vue is widespread, and Evan is awesome. That guy's a visionary. So.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, at PostgreSConf, we get people from all over the world. I mean, in fact, one of our organizers is South African.
Well, I mean, that's to be expected with Postgres. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
the biggest open source database there is, right? So, but yeah, anyway, it was a good event, and of course I'm exhausted because I always am after 3 days of my social battery is non-existent. Put it that way at the moment.
I understand. I mean, I've gotten to the point now where, I mean, yesterday we went into town and people are like, "So what?" Well, first off, that's an all-day affair, right? We don't just zip to the mart, right? It's an hour to the first stop, and then it's 20 minutes to the next stop, and 20 minutes to the next stop, and we left at 11, we got back at 5,
Right.
and we're exhausted because we just aren't around people that often.
Do you have to kind of like really plan out and maximize your time? Because, it's not like, look, I live a third of a mile away from a Kroger. So if I need something, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to jump in the car, well, maybe half a mile, drive there, pick it up and drive home. And it's going to take me all at 8 minutes.
Yeah, well, you're not wrong, and that's how it used to be, right? When we
Yeah.
lived in Bellingham. But now, no, you're absolutely right. So what we will do yesterday was an off day because we had to go buy a freezer because next week I'm picking up my pig.
Ooh,
Um,
No,
so
wait a minute. What's that got to do with the freezer?
what do you think?
uh,
Got to put the meat somewhere.
Oh, I thought you meant okay. I thought you meant you get a new pig as a pet or something.
no,
A pet that
pigs
you
are
Oh,
can eat.
food.
Yeah.
okay.
And no, I've got to put away 260 pounds worth
See,
of
I didn't
pork, and I got no
automatically
place
make
to
that
put it.
connection. Isn't that funny?
So
I've
anyway, we
eaten
had to go
most
to
of my pets.
yesterday was an off day because we had to go get a freezer. But generally speaking, we will go once a week, and that's when we do our shopping and all of our laundry, everything all at once. And
Do,
yeah, it's all day.
do you ever get like nearly all the way back home from the town and go, damn it, I forgot the so and
Yes,
so.
yes, yes. That happened yesterday. We were going to buy a fan. We forgot to buy a fan. It's like too late now because I'm not
Yeah,
turning around.
yeah, yeah.
Um,
That's why we always parked when we were doing the RV full time. It was essential to. I mean, like we got to see really cool places, but we were always on the outskirts of some town somewhere, or staying at like a KOA, which is usually right off of a major highway. And so
right.
it's like we'd park, I'd get everything pulled out while Kiersey would go run to the grocery store, grab us some beer and wine and food or whatever. So it's like we had the nomadic experience, but definitely not the off grid experience. So.
So what prepared us for this is that, like you, we would do the RV thing, but in a schoolie.
Mm,
And when we first started, because we did it, we did it religiously for 8 years. And when we first started, we did what you just said: stay at a KOA, at a Good Sam, whatever. Except we didn't tow, so anywhere we
mm.
went, the RV went with us. And we would get our stuff and then go park and do our thing. But by the time we moved here, we were doing things like, as long as we had water, we were 20 miles from the nearest human,
Hmm.
right? Middle of the desert, middle of the mountains, Grand Canyon, whatever. Because we had Starlink,
Yep.
so we could still work, right? And we have stayed so many places. It's
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Starlink was a game changer for me, definitely. I don't know though. I
Yeah.
guess I'm one of those weird engineers. I'm like actually kind of extroverted. I mean, I did hit my limit. I was 3 months traveling every single week, and that's not an exaggeration. Up till just last week, coming back from London. And Vincent, we need to keep better track of where we are in the road because if we cross paths in some of these areas, I mean, I spent almost the last month like in London. I'll be back in London in a
Yeah.
week.
Well, if you're going to be in Dearborn next week, I'll be there.
Dearborn, no, I'll be in London.
Dearborn? What the hell
London and
is
then
in
Budapest.
Dearborn?
Don't ask. Customer.
I'm not at liberty to say.
No,
Yeah,
it's just not
this is-
very interesting. That's all.
Hey, I want to ask you a question, Vincent. This is about, Justin at one point, I don't remember if it was last episode or this episode before that, mentioned you love to hear you guys rant about conferences.
Mm,
So I went last week or the week before, I don't even remember when it was now, to San Francisco to do a partner event with Amazon
Mm-hmm.
and OmniStraight. And the event went great. And this isn't about what I was speaking about, but the one thing that came up is people were coming in and out of the rooms. And that happens, I understand, but they were loud about it. And so I told OmniStraight, I said, a constructive feedback. And they're like, well, sure. I mean, go ahead. And I said, you need someone to get up at the beginning of the event and tell people that this is a library. If you have to go out or come in, that's
mm.
fine, but treat it like a library. And the gal, Christine, was blown away. She's like, what? I'm like, yeah, I've kicked people out of my conference for that. I mean, you respect the speaker, period. Right?
100%.
So what do you think, Vincent?
I think that's something that's going to happen mostly in San Francisco.
Yeah.
No, I'm serious because look, it's a bubble, right? It's a tech epicenter, and it attracts a certain persona, and that
The
persona
tech bro.
is not okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
that persona, because it's more than just a tech bro. That persona does not have that much situational awareness, and they're pretty fucking entitled.
So we don't run in.
And this
Go ahead,
wasn't a
Justin.
technical conference though, right?
Yeah.
This was the conference you were telling me about, like around sustainability and off-grid living and everything like that.
No, that's in June.
Oh,
This
my bad.
is, this was all about, well, frankly, AI tools.
Well,
Um,
everyone's so fucking self-important. That's why I
but
think.
we don't run
You
into
know,
this at PostgreSConf.
I don't.
it's a whole different demographic.
Yeah, I would
It's
agree.
a whole different demographic. Think about what Postgres is. It's a decades old open source database, right?
Right.
Used by hundreds and hundreds of millions of people globally. Uh, and that is a completely different persona to the kind of people that you're going to have known in the middle of SF at these events.
I don't know if I ever ran one, I would be very clear. Like, I would interrupt a speaker if someone was disrespecting a speaker like that.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
like,
yeah,
"I
yeah.
The
I'm
big
sorry,
difference.
Joe, but, this is not okay."
I've started doing the when I run hackathons at customer sites. When I do the kickoff, I ask people if they've ever been to an unconference,
Mm,
and so most people haven't, right?
right.
So then I say, for the people that haven't, this is what an unconference is. It's different. You choose the program while you're there from things people want to talk about. You vote on them. Things with the most votes. That's the program for that day. It's very cool. So the other thing about an unconference, when you see someone do this, everyone else does this, and then you all shut up. Because it's amazing how, like, as soon as I would do this, and someone would see me, and they would do that. And I did it all throughout the day, and I would do it all throughout the day. And then people see someone do that, and then they realize, oh, then they do that, and everyone just shuts up. It's
Yeah.
incredible. It's incredible. I got to use
It's
this
like
at
you're
home.
prepping do the wave or something. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah. I need to try it in my house with my kids.
I
Daddy's
think
talking now.
oh yeah, like that'll work. So,
nah, yeah.
Yeah,
no, but you know what? I think the three of us are speakers also. Like we've all been on
Yes.
that podium and we know how disruptive that can be and how disrespectful it feels. And so, I mean, for me, I'm like a ninja mouse when I'm trying to sneak into
yeah.
a room where there's already a talk going on. I'm like, oh God, I'm so
That's
gingerly and
right.
everything because I just don't
Y
want to
You open the door
distract
as
and
slowly as possible.
peek in. You're like, oh, is this okay? Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm very gingerly, and I'm a big like body guy. I mean, like I take up a lot of space and I knock shit over, and I'm very clumsy. But when it comes to that,
You're a
you don't
ninja.
mess with that. Like the speakers are the show, and you respect them. So
Well, I'll never
What I've seen that's really powerful, and I've done it myself actually, in that situation. If I'm speaking, doing a talk or just speaking genuinely to a group, and there are other people in the room just talking amongst themselves, I'll just stop talking and look at them. And because I'm talking and I'm being interrupted, and so I'll
Right.
just stop.
you're
And then
like,
people will
"Let me get
notice,
to
oh,
that."
well, why does he stop talking, kind of thing, and then look around and realize I'm looking at them and go, oh shit.
Yep.
I've
Sorry,
seen
man.
you do that to great effect before. It's
You have?
disarming. It's disarming. I mean, it really is. It's a great little social technique. Yeah.
So you're, Vincent, a much kinder, gentler individual than I am. So I gave a presentation at Northern Arizona University. This was years ago, and it was to the was it ACM, the ACM chapter
Oh hell yeah.
there, and it was on Postgres, but just generally on open source as a whole and development and things like that. And because most colleges at the time, they were either Java or Microsoft or right, and open source was a very ethereal thing to them. Um, and I'm 5 minutes into my presentation, and this young man answers his phone.
Oh god.
No. No.
Y-
No.
yes, answered his phone, and me, literally. Are you answering your phone right now? Are you seriously having a conversation? Put your side piece away and hang up your
Ah!
phone. And
That's
this,
awesome.
he did this. He goes,
What?
put his finger up at me. His professor is in the room. And I'm like, really? This is
Unfucking
your
believable.
student? It was,
God.
he was, when it took him about 30 seconds, but it was like the wheel, for whatever reasons, well, I know the reasons. He was 22 and a guy,
And he'll
but
be dead within a month. He clearly can't
yeah,
survive in
that's
this
right.
world.
The wheels started turning, and he looked at me and he goes, I gotta go. Shuts the phone.
Jesus.
Not a, I don't think you could have heard his fart the rest of the I mean, it was so he didn't make a noise for another 90 minutes. Not
It's
even
it
his chair creaking.
it's so funny that you know, the smartest people in the room need the most help crossing the street.
It's
It's
Oh,
true.
insane,
Yeah.
did
right?
we have a didn't we have 20 minutes on Richard Stallman on that little
Yes, we
situation?
did actually, yeah, but it's like that mid-middle
Well,
school for the
yeah,
gifted Far
yeah,
Side cartoon where
yeah.
it's like the guy pulling on the
Push door. I know.
yeah,
There was
yes.
actually at this event, somebody came into it was a single track event. Someone came in. I don't know what we were in the Georgia Tech Global Learning Center. The Georgia Tech has its own little conference center, which is great, and they've got several auditoriums, and we were in one of them. So there was something else. There were other things going on in the building, and some gentleman came in. He clearly was not part of our group, but he came into the room when someone was talking. Chris Demar, do you know Chris Demars? Justin, you know
Oh,
Chris. Do
I
you know
know Chris.
Chris?
Yeah, I know Chris very
Have you
well.
ever met Chris Demars?
I don't I mean,
He's
maybe, but
this huge. He looks like a 300-pound white rapper from Detroit. That's what he is. But he's absolutely covered head to toe in tats.
Yeah,
His neck.
perfectly described.
I mean, I
Right.
swear to God, man, he's a teddy bear. I love the guy to death.
Oh, he's a
Uh,
teddy bear too, on top of
yeah,
that. I mean,
yeah.
he's the
But you see
kindest.
him in a dark
Yeah.
alleyway, you'd cross the street,
Yeah.
because you wouldn't know, right? You'd make
right.
assumptions. Anyway, he's doing a talk on accessibility or something, and this guy comes in and sits near the front, and his phone goes off, and he answers it, and it's a flip phone. And Chris says, he stops and says, "Dude, do you seriously have a flip phone?"
Not only are you disrespecting the room, but you have a flip phone.
Yeah.
Like, do you
Can
even
you
text, bro? Right?
can you not answer your burner in my talk?
You know, it's a phenomenon that's getting worse, not just in conference, everywhere. So I spent half of my life in airports, and it
Mhm.
blows my mind, like the increasing number of people who will sit there and watch like a fucking movie on their phone or a TikTok or something at full volume, no headphones, no
Yeah.
anything. You're in a public space. Like, what are you doing? You know, and Kiersey, my wife, she's way more blunt than I am. Like, we were out to dinner the other day, and some guy was at his table. He's like watching football or something like American football on his phone, and she was like, "Could you turn that down? That's very loud." And it caught him off guard. He was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." So it's like now I start thinking about like, well, never ascribe malice what could be explained by incompetence. I mean, I wonder if people are just so in their own freaking heads that they truly don't realize how
Y-
inconsiderate they're
Oh
being.
yeah, I think that's very true. Again,
I,
the
I
lack
mean,
of
there are.
situational awareness generally in the world is
I think the
insane.
It's
bubble
terrifying.
exists with. I think you're right there, Justin. Because I had another. I had an incident about, I don't know, 10 years ago, where I was in the Delta Lounge, and this guy. I mean, whatever bro he was a bro, right? The way he dressed, the way, I mean, everything about him, his whole persona. And he got on the phone, and it was all about how important his upcoming meetings and all these things, which
Yeah.
I understand. You got to conduct business, right? But this guy was loud,
Mm.
just loud. And um, there's two parts of the story. So I actually interjected with the guy, and I'm like, dude, nobody wants to listen to your conversation. And he got offended.
What?
Yeah. Now, that's part one. He couldn't believe that someone had the audacity to interrupt him. He was that self-important. Now, that's a decade ago. Now, what I ran into recently, I was on Delta, and I fly first class. That's how I roll. And there was a couple, one row behind me and to the right, and they were watching YouTube. Okay. And well, the way I caught them off guard is that I was fine with it until they said, put your seatbelts on and all that. I let it go until it was time we're going to take off. And that recent video, that song that came out like 10 years ago, but got popular again, from Kato. I don't know if you guys know what this is, but anyway, it was really popular. So he's playing this loud, and everyone, you could see everyone like looking at each other, like, what are we going to do? Is the flight attendant going to handle this, whatever? And I just turned and looked at the guy, and I said, I like Kato as much as the next guy, but could you put your earbuds in? And he stopped and he did what happened to you. He said, "Oh man, I'm so sorry." And him and his wife put their earbuds in and they kept watching.
Mm.
The difference being 10 years ago, you were an asshole.
Yeah.
Now, I do think that there's this bubble that gets created by your screen.
Mm.
Yeah, well, it's not.
I
It's not
mean,
just the screen because I remember being on a flight it was actually I think a red eye from San Francisco back to Atlanta, and I'm sitting there and I'm dressed like I'm dressed all in black. Right? I got black combat pants on, got black boots, my black
So we
tactical
can't see
jacket,
you?
my black black tactical jacket. I got Justin and one of these. I look like
I know the tactical jacket.
I'm
Yeah.
about to get deployed somewhere, right? Anyway, I'm sitting there, and there's these younger guys, younger than me anyway, probably mid-20s, and they're having a good old time with each other, but they're like starting to cuss. There's kids around them, right?
Right.
And ladies, and they are, their language. Look, I'll cuss all day long, right?
Right.
In the right company.
Exactly. It depends.
Yeah,
You
but
gotta be
they were
aware.
public. They were on the plane, and they were being inappropriate. I thought, So I stood. I was like, it was mainly because of the kids,
Right.
So I stood up. I went back to see some like, gentlemen, can you please moderate your language? I mean, this is the tone I used. Would you please moderate your language? There are children present, and because I'm dressed the way I am, they were like,
Like,
"Holy
oh
shit!"
Are we on a list now?
And then I sat
Special
down.
forces just
and,
told me to shut the fuck
yeah.
up.
Then I sat down. I was like, "Oh shit! I wonder what they thought. They probably thought I was, someone tactical."
It's amazing the way that we present and like how stereotypes can be used to our advantage. So I was at like a show, I don't know, two months ago, let's call it, and it was out in Sydney. That's where it was. It was in Sydney, Australia, and I was talking with one of my new colleagues because we were picked up by Atlassian, and Atlassian is headquartered in Sydney. And she showed me that in Uber, you can change your first and last name to whatever you want, including
Yeah.
a title. So she's been experimenting with doing things like admiral, like lieutenant. So I changed mine to Dr.
Oh.
Justin. And so now when people pick me up at Uber where they drop off my food from Uber Eats and all that stuff, it's not, hello, are you Justin? It's, are you Dr. Justin? And it elevates the whole tone. I tell them that I have a PhD in computer engineering. Not true, but it's believable because I'm
close
able
enough.
to keep up the rest of the conversation. And it completely changes the way that people interact with you, even though it's total bullshit. So,
I would so put in like Sir Francis Drake or
right?
Lord Drake. Yeah.
I'm thinking about the Reverend Doctor next. I think it's
Oh,
the
the
Reverend.
Oh.
The
Yeah,
Reverend Dr.
you
Justin.
can't. Can you change your name, or can
You
you change the
can. I
title?
mean, you literally free form. Like
Oh, okay. I'm going to be Commander Bond from now on. Then.
Commander Bond.
nice.
I don't know if your wife sees that, she might take issue to all your traveling there, buddy.
Oh God.
I
So
remember
what's
once moving. I moved to this part of Atlanta. It was in this program where you would. I don't know what the hell we're talking about this episode, but anyway, I was in this program. I found this program where you could rent these executive houses that were empty.
Sure.
As long as you furnished them, and then people would come and they're for sale. So you just have to put up with people doing like open, coming to see the house. So you'd have to keep it tidy. You'd have to furnish it. So I had this like 6-bedroom house in Marietta, near Atlanta, in one of the Atlanta suburbs.
Where I grew up, Marietta.
Yeah, and it was in a really snooty neighborhood, and there was like
Where
some
I grew up,
neighborhood party,
neighborhood in
and,
Marietta. So.
and I was out there with the girlfriend, and everyone, oh, well, what do you do, kind of thing, and I was like, well, I work out. What did I say? Rocket velocity vectors for orbital trajectories.
Wow.
Something like that. How to say you're a rocket scientist without saying the words rocket scientist? Right. It was something like that. And then they all went, oh.
That's right. Because they only recognize like 3 of the words.
No, exactly. Right? but all those words spelled out rocket scientist.
Right.
No,
that's one of the
hilarious.
things that one of the things that I run into is, I live in an area where, people are not technical. And I mean, not like we're technical, right? I mean, they can engineer the hell out of a tractor, right? We'd be standing there looking like we're dumb. I mean, we understand the theory of a tractor, right?
It
Um,
pulls stuff through the dirt. Yeah.
yeah, it pushes stuff through the dirt. But they ask, "What do you do?" Um, I'm in tech. That's
Yeah,
all I say, and which
same.
isn't even accurate, right? Because I'm in nonprofit work, I do public speaking, I do mentorship, I do all this stuff, but because you knows what guys with this, like, your day job isn't what you do anymore. We get to a certain point where that's like the side effect of what we do.
Well, did you ever see that Mitchell and Webb look though, Vincent? You know that Mitchell and Webb look. I mean, it's a UK sketch comedy thing.
Mm.
But it's like the two guys at a party, and one of them's all hoity-toity about being like a brain surgeon, and he's like correcting people who are calling him a doctor. He's like, "Careful, I'm a brain surgeon," and he's like, which is very complex. But then a rocket scientist walks in, and so then he's like, "Oh, I work in rockets mostly," and "Oh, that's very complex." He's like, "Yeah, I mean, it's not exactly brain surgery." So it's the whole interaction is so great.
Well, I
So,
actually ran into one of those at the recent event I was at. A gal introduced herself to me, and you do your standard, "What do you do?" and all that. And she actually gave me a very flattering remark, which caught me off guard. But I asked what she did, and she said, "Well, I'm a physicist." And I looked at her, and she goes, "Well, I'm in finance." I'm like, "Oh, you needed a
whoa.
paycheck." So she's a PhD in physics, but she
Mhm.
wanted a paycheck, so now she's in finance.
Yeah.
I mean, look, that's Ellie Goldratt, theory of
Yep.
constraints. I mean, he was a physicist studying complex machinery, has the intellectual leap one day that a business is a complex machine subject to the same laws of physics, goes on to write the most important business theory ever written that would become the goal, and then the Phoenix Project. I mean, having those I mean, I'm completely myopic. I mean, like
Well,
my dad gave me a computer when I was 6 years old. This is all I've ever fucking done. I can't do anything else.
Daniela Amadei, co-founder of Anthropic's got a degree in literature.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's how she figured out how to steal all that intellectual property.
She knew where to look.
I mean,
Oh, hey, on that, so it I bought, I don't know if you know what VCX is. It's a
VCX.
ETF,
I'm not sure.
but I bought it
no.
before it went onto the market. I was part of Fundrise, and, it recently went into the market and went crazy, okay? But one of the things that's interesting about it is it owns, 5 my percentages might be off because it owns a bunch of Anthropic and it owns a bunch of SpaceX. It
Okay.
owns either 5 or 10% of SpaceX or 5 or 10% of Anthropic. SpaceX is going public here in a couple of weeks. I'm kind of
And Anthropic
interested.
too.
Well, I thought Anthropic was in the fall.
Was what?
I thought Anthropic was in the fall.
Yeah. But it's coming quickly.
Yeah, they're both coming this. I'm going to be. It'd be interesting to see what that fund does. Um, we talked last time about possibly extending our privilege to constructive feedback to those that don't have it.
Mm.
Do we want to pursue that? Oh, it's
So
quiet.
no, I know. I was just trying to reprocess because it feels like that was a lifetime ago. I've been to 1,500 million conferences in 20 different continents since then. So it's like, but this is when we talked about being able to effectively the exposure that we've been lucky enough to have to these types of cultural pillars now that
Mhm.
not everyone has equal opportunity to be exposed to that gives us a serious advantage. It was
Right.
about what can we constructively do to provide that advantage for other people.
And that was basically what it was. It's a very gentle way to put it.
And tactically, what would that be?
Well, I think that's the question, right? That's the conversation because let's take PostgreSConf, for example. PostgreSconf will do things like let students in for free.
Mm,
Not, I shouldn't say free. That's not fair. We will let them in for a zero cost ticket. They actually do have to volunteer for part of the conference.
Mhm.
And the reason for that is that nothing in this world is free, so don't expect it to be.
Yep.
Right. Um, we do discounts for professors and people who
Mhm.
are retired, and I will have people email me directly. I don't even know how they get my email, not that it's that hard. And be like, "Hey, JD, I know XYZ, or you and I met 20 years ago, and I'm retired. Can I have a discount? I'd love to attend." That happens all the time. And
Mhm.
we're happy to extend, right? Because we're not there to make money. We're there to make sure we have enough money to run the next one.
Mhm.
That's basically what we're doing. And we want to help people. We want to lift people up. But it seems that now, like in the moment of time that we are in now, the idea of lifting people up has become controversial.
Yeah, woke. They call it woke.
Well, I disagree. I
I
disagree.
disagree that it's woke for sure.
Well, I would agree. I disagree with that too, but I don't just because the difference is, so let me define what I think lift up is. Okay. Lifting someone up is taking my expertise, my privilege, my time, which is finite and valuable, and investing in someone who does not have the same privilege with an expectation of output. Now, in a business format, that might be an intern.
Mhm.
Okay. But in a community format, that might be, I don't do this because I travel too much, but like a Big Brother program, or
Mhm.
just, I don't know, volunteering for the baseball team at the junior high, or whatever the case may be. Right. That to me, when you say, Justin, the remark that you made is that's woke. I don't know of any conservative that thinks that's woke.
Good. I
Every can,
mean, let me be clear. I am pro woke. I mean, I think everybody knows
I
that.
know.
But so I don't. I mean,
We
we've
know you're
turned
the
it
pinko
into a
commie. That's
four-letter word.
okay.
So yeah, we've turned it into a four-letter word, which it is a four-letter word. But I think people don't really understand that the origin, that it actually dates back to the 40s and talks about some very important issues from back then.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
but anyway, my joke really was that, well, that's some woke ass bullshit, because we're not communists. We don't just give away our time for free. But there's a nuance there. There's a twist, JD, to the way that you think about this. That it is helping to lift somebody up with the expectation of output. And I
Yes.
do think that that makes it a much more balanced, or maybe palatable approach to somebody who's not quite the pinko commie that I am. So,
Well, and I mean, I do it all the time. I mean, that's where I don't charge for mentorship, for example. The output isn't necessarily to my benefit. The output is to society's benefit,
mm,
Mhm.
right? Um, and I think the issue at hand is when where a lot of people the popular definition, or I should say, the contrarian popular definition of woke is handouts, not
mm.
handouts, right? And we can all argue if those are good or bad. I mean, I don't know. I
Yeah.
mean, the numbers kind of express that they're bad.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah.
Vincent, what is it? What would be something that you would consider lifting someone up? What's
It,
a constructive criticism for
so
those that don't have our privilege?
so it's the same, in the context of what I do for a living and in the community, running events and what have you. I do the same thing that you do, JD. I'm like, people, I will help people as long as they're prepared to help themselves. Right. So in the
Bingo.
sense that this view conference, there was a gentleman from Brazil who emailed me and asked me if we had any scholarships, and I'm
Sure.
off the bat, I'm like, we don't have any scholarships. But I was thinking about it and I said, but I understand. And he was like, I said, what are you looking for? We don't actually have a scholarship program. He says, I'm trying to, I'm coming from Brazil. I've got to pay for my ticket and my hotel, and he
It's a lot
wasn't a
more
student or anything.
expensive.
And I'm like, okay, you get yourself your plane ticket and your hotel, and I will give you tickets to conference.
Yep.
It's not all right. It's a free ticket to the conference, but the guy he's coming from Brazil. I mean, I can't do it for everyone. If 150 people want to come from Brazil, I can
Right.
do that. But he took the time to reach out to me. I found my email somewhere, and I'm more than happy to help with that, with stuff like that. And we do the same thing with the larger events we run with volunteers, people that, I can't get fucking students to come to our software conferences. I can't get Georgia Tech to send people. I can't get anyone to pay attention to something that will benefit them beyond belief. Anyway, but with students and volunteers, hey, You can have a ticket. We just need some time, and we have volunteer slots. It's all mapped out in Sign Up or Sign Up Genius,
Mhm.
whatever we use, signup.com. Pick 2 slots, and then you can have the rest of the time is yours. So I'm more than happy to help people as long as they'll put some work in. You know,
Yeah, I mean, that's the mutual benefit of society, right?
yeah.
Is that we have to eh, we should disclaim, we're talking about people who can benefit themselves or others, right? We're
Hmm.
not I think it should be noted that that's what we're talking about here because there are people who can't. And those people deserve a consideration that is up and above and beyond than what we're talking about here.
Well, I mean, I don't know how to help people like that other than to give time and
Right.
mind share. So I am on the board of a nonprofit, the Emergency Food and Shelter Program, and every major metro city has one that distributes a FEMA grant of about, well, we get about $1 million a year. It's been up and it almost got nixed by Doge, but I just heard that we're back on for this year. Yesterday, I heard. But I decided a long time ago that if I gave $1 to everyone that needed $1, I'd be right with them needing $1,
Yes.
right? But
Right.
I'm happy to give some time and some thought, some mind share to programs like that where we meet like once a quarter, we evaluate grant proposals, grant applications. We might do some site visits to new applicants and see what their facilities are like and what have you, and then help them fund their programs from the grant that we get from FEMA. I love doing stuff like that, but and I decided that I would rather. That's the only way I can help people. I can't give them money. I don't have enough money to give everyone money. You know.
Well, and that's why UBI is such a bad idea. But Justin, where are you on this? Because
Yeah, I mean, look, there's Maslow's hierarchy of maturity, is one way of looking at this. I think that it takes a certain bit of life experience to come to the realization that you can make far more impact and leave a far more lasting legacy by helping to scale your own thoughts by having them amplified through the growth of others. The Maslow model, it starts an infant, you're completely selfish. You need food, you need warmth, you need direct assistance. You move up to being a toddler, all of a sudden your world gets a little bit bigger. It's like you and your parents and their needs become part of your friends. And then ultimately, some people, not everyone, reach a phase where they realize that really, you know, the most important thing is to think about transcendent needs, things that move outside of your own myopia, and think about the needs of the broader community. And I think some people take that step and some people don't, right? I think just like some people mature to a certain degree and then some people stay in that more selfish phase or that more myopic phase. Um, but I think that, again, as a person who is not spiritual, very atheist, but who is definitely a humanist. I mean, I believe in the possibilities of our species, and I do think that our creation is a very happy accident that has a net positive effect on the universe. And I could be argued, but I am an optimist and I feel that way. The best way to keep our society going is to do everything we can to lift up, those who are around us. If you see somebody fall, you grab them by the shoulder, you pull them back up. But if you have somebody who you got to drag him kicking and screaming, I mean, look, again, not believing in any type of spiritual currency, I do think that that person is deleterious to society. I don't like to consider anybody like a waste because I think if you look at a framework like logotherapy from Viktor Frankl, you'll find that everyone's life has meaning to a degree. But can you be part of the order that helps to move our society forward, or are you going to be part of the chaos that creates drag and friction and toil? And anything I can do to help people be part of that order, I think, is a noble thing to do.
all right, so you touched on a couple of really good points there. One, and I understand why you're bedrocking on this, but that you're not spiritual or religious or whatever. We could get into an argument of whether or not you are or aren't, because I think you said you're a humanist, and I think that when you're a humanist, which I think is a good thing, that kind of becomes your deity, right?
To a
Society.
degree, sure. Yeah, that's fair.
The uh, so from that, I think we're all in agreement that people in society, uh, for sure, need to contribute to society, right? It's one of the reasons why I have a really hard time with, to me, any able-bodied person, I don't care who you are, to receive my money, which means my taxes, you have to give back. I'm not saying, you know, I mean, go to the library, put books away, right? You don't even have to be particularly like, and where this comes from is I have an uncle who is disabled, and mentally disabled. And but he uses it as an excuse. He's going to be, I think, 60 this year, 62. And I think we've talked about him in the past. He's got the mental acuity of about a 16-year-old. Our taxes pay for him to live. I'm
Mhm.
okay with that,
Mm.
right? What I'm not okay with is that he does nothing for them. He can pick up trash. He can work at the library. He can work at the hospital, and, picking up linens, whatever. He has that ability,
Mhm.
and we allow him not to.
But what's the
That's
alternative? You know, if he ends up on the street and he has the acuity of a 16-year-old, which also means the maturity of a 16-year-old in many
correct.
ways, right? Which is why he's not going to be thinking about that broader social commitment. But what
Correct.
happens if he loses his house, he ends up on the street, he ends up descending further into mental illness, because we know that that's what happens. It's a vicious cycle when you already have those challenges and then you find yourself in a homeless fight or flight kind of situation. Then it has an even worse effect on society, because now you have a person who's potentially dangerous, and
Are
maybe, even criminal. So
well, okay, so you're not wrong, right? I think that's the great question, right? When we talk about the solution to this problem, that's the great question. Is like, if we cut off their benefits, right? So maybe the answer is that there is a base level and an enhanced level, right? The base level is, look, we don't want you addicted to drugs. We don't want you homeless. We do not want you to be a further burden on society, right? But if you're willing to take 10 hours a week, right? Whatever, picking up trash on the side of the road, you sign off, whatever, you get another 50% so that you can have a slightly higher quality of life, but you've also earned that slightly higher quality of life.
I don't fully disagree with that, but I also say, what's the difference between that and just getting a part-time job if you can? I mean, I
Well, in
think,
this
like,
particular instance, he can't get a part-time job, right?
well, picking
So,
up trash can be a job. It can be a government service. You can get paid for that. I mean,
well, and maybe that's the case, but I mean, if you think of it that way, though, most municipalities, right, they don't have the budget for trash keeping, right? So this would have to be a federal level thing.
Mm.
yeah, I mean, again, in principle, I don't disagree. If you're willing to give back more, I also just think, like, maybe thinking about things in terms of a social safety net, which I believe should exist. I don't think that anybody in the richest country in the world should have to really face hunger or addiction or any of these things without some support.
I mean, I know. I think that's great, Justin. It's now I can go take a shit on the Speaker of the House's desk and get some money. That's my safety net.
Actually, Vincent, I was hoping you would chime in a little bit on this one. We have a real especially, look, I'm honestly not picking on these blue cities. I'm just making an observation, especially in certain blue cities who have a certain level of social safety net. They are shitholes. They're terrible places to be. Right? I could walk in San Francisco. I walk 2 blocks. I'm in a nice, safe area. I walk 2 blocks the other direction. People are screaming on fentanyl, leaning over, crapping in the streets. Same with Seattle,
Well,
right?
but it's also the same with London. It's also the same with any major municipality that is going to have those types of designations. I think here's the thing. We talk about quote unquote blue cities. Name some red cities at that size. They don't exist. And that's because people who live in a city like that and are exposed to so many different cultures tend to lean liberal. It's just what happens when you live in a highly populated area where you have to learn to rely on other folks and be part of a community. So,
Well, no, hold on, because people in cities do not rely on other folks and rely on a community. That's a rural thing.
well,
What they do is rely on services that taxpayers provide.
I don't know that I agree with that. I
There's
mean,
a there's
it's
a
like
whole sorry, go ahead.
no, it's just fabric by fabric. Like you can't make a blanket statement about a city that way when there's so many designations within that single city. Take Chinatown, for instance, in San Francisco.
Okay.
San Francisco has probably in my opinion, like the best
It's a cool
Chinatown
Chinatown,
on the
hands
world,
down.
right? But if you
Yeah.
look at it, if you pay attention and you start to observe the Chinese American community that lives there, they do operate like a village. They do operate like a community. They do rely on one another.
That's a
They
cultural thing.
it is a
Yeah,
cultural
that's what I was
thing.
gonna say. That's not a blue city thing. That's a cultural thing based on the literally what 150 years of shared trauma that they have and building
Well,
themselves up into having a
it predates that too, because that's just Chinese. That's Chinese culture generally.
But
You
you
know,
see
there's
other
lots of
evidence of
tenets.
that. It's like, oh, go ahead, Vincent.
No, there's lots of tenets about. I mean, I'm no expert in Chinese culture, but things like filial piety and the importance of, your community. That I mean, I hear what you're saying, JD, about the experience of coming to America and being taken advantage of. But I think the way this predates that by millennia.
and that and you're not wrong. I mean, I've been to China and
Yeah,
the culture's different.
yeah,
But I think where I'm taking umbrage, for lack of a better word, is that as someone who is remember, I didn't grow up rural. I mean, I grew up very city, San Diego, Portland, Seattle, right? And especially now, over the last, say, 15 years, community is exceedingly difficult to find. I mean, I would not want to be a 28-year-old man trying to find community,
hmm.
right? It just it's really hard. I mean, if you go on to any subreddit that's a city subreddit, any of them, and every week someone is like, I can't meet anybody. They just want to have friends.
Yeah. I think
Stop
they.
reading incel forums, JD.
I mean, ever
What was
since
that?
I said
my
stop reading all those incel forums. I know that's what you're talking about.
the first
They're
the
not all
first
incel forums. Thank you very much.
the first community I was
Only the
ever in,
one that I started. You know,
the first community I was involved in as a 14, 15-year-old was the kayaking community. So I started kayaking in the city, Reading, where I grew up. And then when I moved to college, what I was at my kayaking was my sport. So of course I went to find the kayaking community, and then I was at college and all that, but that became my base of friends. And I swear to God, I still have friends from when I was 18. They're from that community to this day, the oldest friends I have in the world. And then fast forward many years, that when I moved somewhere else to North Wales, towards first the West Midlands and then to North Wales, I gravitated towards the kayaking community. So the point I'm trying to make is, it's a lot easier to find the community when you do something that's where you have shared interests.
Community of practice, right? And
Yeah,
I
a
mean,
community
I
of
think
practice. So it doesn't matter what that interest is: chess, church,
sure.
art, running. I was driving through Atlanta, Decatur, in Atlanta the other day. I don't know where I was going. There's a running group meeting outside a pub. There's like must have been 50 people. Oh, there's a running group, and I know none of those people probably knew each other. Only a few people. Anyway, they're now a community, and I'm sure people have made friends because they go running as a group. You know, so I get what you're saying, especially for young people who are stuck behind screens. Being behind screens is the norm. Being on forums is the norm.
and grew up
How do
during
you,
COVID.
yeah, how do
Yeah,
you get
that's a big
out? How
one.
do you meet people? It has to be something that's activity based.
I agree,
Well,
and these are spread now. I mean, it's ironic, right? Because we have this infrastructure that allows us to be more social and be more connected, and yet in so many ways, it's made us more myopic and more disconnected. But I totally agree with Vincent that it's like if you find an interest and you actively seek out finding other people with that shared interest, what you will find is a community, whether it was intentional or not. It
Well, you
becomes a
immediately have
culture around that.
something in common that you're all passionate
Yeah.
about, and that's powerful.
We see it all the I mean, a tech community at large is that, right? I mean,
Yeah.
I know that I can go up to anybody at an open source conference or a KubeCon or any of that. And if I want to talk a little bit about platform engineering, if I want to talk a little bit about developer productivity, there's going to be an interest. I'll be able to have that conversation easily with somebody. Um, but
okay.
going back to, cities like blue cities being shithholes or something. I just don't think that that's really true. I just think that when
Well,
you have a
only certain ones. Understand, I am
yeah,
not saying all blue cities. I mean, Flagstaff is a blue city, and it's amazing, right?
and New York
And I
City is
and
incredible, and San
yeah, I mean,
Francisco has wonderful, wonderful elements too. So
they all do, right? It's like, I mean, let's be honest, they're all cities of a large, dense population, which means you're gonna get all the good, bad, the ugly of
Well, what
anything,
is
of
what
millions of humans getting together.
what is the social safety net in San Francisco then?
I mean, it is pretty. I mean, JD's not wrong.
But what is it? I'm not familiar, so I'm trying to understand.
It's pretty easy to get like a decent chunk of like welfare, I guess is what you would call it,
Yep,
basic income because of the laws of the state. Now, California is the fifth largest economy on the planet, fourth or
Right.
fifth or something like that on its
it's
own,
5th.
right?
So
Yeah.
So
I
and it's a federally positive state, and then it gives back more money to the federal government than it
yeah,
receives.
this is a much more complex issue, I think, because with when it comes down to state benefits, for example. I mean, in the UK we have the same thing, um,
Mhm.
but so i- hypothetically, there's a single mother with 3 children. Okay, and that I'm talking about the UK because I'm most familiar with
Sure.
with it there. I'm sure it's similar here, but that person is unemployed and gets benefits because per child, right? Probably
Same
gets
with
some
Social
housing
Security.
paid,
Yeah.
blah blah blah.
Yeah, that's what
The
would
the
happen
the,
here.
the net of all that is that lady would probably have to earn a level of income which she is not capable of earning to make more money than is provided to her by the state. So it doesn't even make sense for that person to go out and get a part-time job or a full-time
Correct.
job. That person can never make because of socioeconomic issues, education. Again, this
Mhm.
is why it's way deeper than blue state this or blue
Well,
city that,
raising
and the
three kids
social blah
is a
blah.
full time job, and
Well,
that benefits
okay,
society too.
but the
Yeah, I
point is,
mean,
it's like
yeah.
that person, because of whatever reason, most likely socioeconomic and based on education, can't make the money that she's going to get, or she or he is going to get paid for by the government,
Right.
but if they don't have a job, so they can support their children.
So, and you're not wrong,
I'm
Vincent.
not saying it's right. I'm just saying it's the thing. It's just a fact.
I think so. One, let me go back to the community comment or discussion first, and that is, I think that Justin, we all have kids, uh, even if Justin and I's are the age they're supposed to be. Um, w- my 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 kids. Um, backing up, the issue I have with our opinion of community and the ability to have community, while the points are valid, I think it speaks directly to our privilege of the type of individuals we are and the risks we don't have.
Mm.
Case in point, if I'm in a group of people or I see a group of people and they're all having a good time, I have no problem walking up to determine why they're having a good time, if I want to be a part of that good time and to make myself a part of that good time. Why? Because they can't take anything from me, right? One of the things that I have held on to, especially over the last, ever since COVID, that I hold on to very tightly is a reminder to myself that I can't be fired.
Mm.
Right? So there's an there is a currency to that, as well as a liability, in the sense that I have to be very careful of my expectations of others, because while I can't be fired, most people can.
Yeah.
Most people in my social and professional network,
I mean, there
right?
was a lot of study done on this. I mean, like absolute 100%. And I mean, this leads to all these physiological things on top of that, right? I mean, like you have lower cortisol, you have higher amounts of serotonin, higher amounts of dopamine, which makes you feel healthier and more energetic and smarter and more capable of contributing. Whereas, this study was done during the anti-racist movement, looking at, what's considered a lot of like black diseases in America. So type 2 diabetes, hypertension, cardiovascular problems, things like that,
Right.
obesity, even. And, they found that there's absolutely no genetic predisposition to any of this. These are just diseases that people get when they're under constant stress
Mhm.
and in a constant state of fear. And it was a big, vector to that study of there really are, two Americas. And some of us get to live in the America where our bills are paid and no one is chasing after us and crime is relatively low where we live and we don't have to fight and scrap for everything that we own. And there are people who do, and it becomes a vicious cycle. I mean, how can you possibly hope to, elevate yourself when your physical health is manifesting the daily stress that you feel because of the imbalance in society?
I'm really glad you brought that up, Justin, because one of the things you're alluding to is telomeres.
Mm,
And the reason I
yeah,
bring that up is that Amanda and I have been doing a health and tech podcast, because she's all about exactly what you just said about, because you were talking about the fight or
mm,
flight based stress versus challenge based stress, how it impacts your health. For those that don't know, fight or flight based stress, it's terrible. Adrenaline and cortisol, and you're never at a capability of peace, and it increases your disease profile, which is what you're talking about.
yeah,
Whereas challenge based stress, that's solve a problem,
yeah,
right? And it has been shown literally that the telomere, as if you are in a constant state of fight or flight, not only are you more susceptible to chronic disease, you're more likely to die early
yeah.
just by the nature of it.
Mm,
So, but I would, it's interesting. The other part of that, I would challenge you on. While I agree with you that there is, and it's obviously a spectrum. Let's just put this out there. There are two Americas, right? Because there are plenty of people that can pay their bills, but are also in crime areas, right? And but the crime areas that you're talking about, there's not two Americas there. I mean, if you look at the statistics, it's something like it's 5% of repeat offenders achieve 80% of the crime,
mm.
right?
That's the 80
And
20
don't
rule again. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it's a very if you take out the people who have never been to jail and the people that have only been to jail once, and then and you come to the people that are basically always getting in trouble,
That's the 20%.
they
Yeah.
they
Or 5%.
contribute
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
an enormous amount to the crime.
Yeah.
Like, our crime almost disappears. Our crime becomes, oh, it was a joyride, or they
Right.
egged my house, right?
Right. Right.
well, and I'm not saying that like everybody who's dealing with fight or flight or stress or difficult circumstances is going to turn to a life of crime. That would be
Sure.
insane to think that, right? But it certainly increases the likelihood. It certainly increases the exposure. And I mean, we need to take a serious look at these gaps and really think about it. I read a study today that said that the effective poverty line right now in the U.S. is an income of $135,000 annually. And the reason is because you don't have enough money to actually pay for everything that you need uh, to live a comfortable life, but you're also making too much money to receive any type of assistance or service. So it's
I'm
like this
not buying
donut.
that number
Uh,
unless you're in, like, San Francisco, New York,
well, this is
something
kind of
like that.
normalized across the whole country. I mean, 135,000 could stretch real far living the way that you live.
Well, no, but
Um,
135,000 will stretch real far in San Diego and Bellingham, not so far much in Seattle. But if you're willing to be just an hour out, you're still in a city. You're not. I mean, granted, you're not where I am. My 135 goes a lot farther, especially since I don't have a mortgage, right? But that no, I think it's not. I'm not saying you were this way, but I believe that number is insincere,
hmm.
because there are so many places that you can live a fantastic fucking life in the United States with everything that you need, plus retirement on $135,000 a year.
If you have freedom of mobility,
Well, certainly, but everybody has freedom of mobility. It may take a hard choice, but
But
it's still
how
there.
do you in those areas where, I mean, it's a great point, JD, but in those areas where that money would go a long way, do you have the ability to make 135,000?
Now that's a better question.
That's a great
You
question.
know,
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
I can
because
see it 100%. I can see 100%. Oh, like like for example, where I used to live in North Wales. Okay, a very small town. I think there's about maybe 15,000 people lived in this town. 135,000. I lived like a king there. I
right,
couldn't make $135,000 living there.
right.
There's no way.
And that is, I mean, that's a true issue. Montana's facing this issue pretty hardcore between three cities, right? Missoula, Kalispell, and Bozeman. They're all growing. Basically, a lot of us decided we loved Montana, and property values went through the roof, property prices went through the roof, everything is growing, and the people that were already here, they don't have our skill set, right? And
Well, it's not
so
even
no,
I mean, it's okay. It's not just tech. It's just the ability to have a job that pays out, or to make that, or you have a business or a skill, a trade
well,
that you can make that kind of money.
I wasn't even talking about tech because Vincent, between you and me, I mean, well, even Justin could just go be a researcher somewhere. He doesn't
True.
have to be a researcher of AI. He has a proven track record of providing, discerning, distilling numbers about X. He can go do that. You and I, we can do nonprofit work. We can do conferences. We all could be on the public speaking road tour, right? Myself, I can just go be an SVP of pick a region of whatever business, right? I just need to learn what their market is.
Mm.
Right. So it's not, I don't think it's as simple as being in tech. It's about, I'm 50 years old and I have worked at this agricultural machinery company for 30 years. I make a decent living for what the living here was a decade ago.
Yeah.
Right. No tech firm, no biotech firm, no health firm, which is where all the money is now, is going to hire me.
Yeah.
I don't have that skill set.
Yeah.
They're still using paper, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So my only point there is that a lot of people like to blame tech. It's not our fault. We just enabled everybody else to do it too.
Well,
Right?
in some parts of the country, it's more self-evident than others, like Silicon Valley, for example.
Sure,
It's just
absolutely.
such an outlier.
Yeah.
It really is. It's just beyond an outlier.
Well, let's identify tech. We're talking about our type of tech, though. Bozeman
there's other
is
techs, of
known
course.
for tech, but they're known
Yeah.
for photo lenses. They're lenses,
Right.
whatever they call them.
Yeah.
That's what they're known for.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't know.
So not digital tech, the way that, I mean, software, I think really is what we're talking
Right.
about.
Their
technology's
bits
lots
and
of
bytes
things.
are to produce something physical.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, there's always been whales, right? I mean, what was it before, all this money and resource went into silicon, right? I mean, before then it was energy, and before then it was the railroad, and I mean, there's always been these major areas of wealth, that create these margins. I mean, I think although, cost of living has certainly gone up, things are difficult, healthcare costs, education costs, all these things, gas.
It's a whole other episode, healthcare costs.
Yeah, no, as it is. I mean,
just a quick metric for you. Remember that just for a quick metric for you, I pay my employees healthcare.
Yeah.
Okay. In the last 2 years, year before last, 17% increase. This year, a 22% increase.
Unfucking believable.
We're an 18-person firm.
Yeah, and the services aren't getting better.
Services aren't getting better.
And it doesn't even matter. I mean, I know you pay all this money, but you still go to the doctor. You still paying more fucking money.
Oh yeah, there's the co-insurance and then the co-pay and the deductible and everything else.
It's ridiculous. I want to go get like a ultrasound on my elbow because I got something going on here. I'm thinking, you know what? I could go to my PCP, $20 copay.
Sure.
He's going to refer me to a specialist that's in network. It's still going to cost me $300.
Easy. Yeah.
And I pay all this money every month, and so does my company. And it's still going to cost me $300.
So you aggregate all these costs together, and this is where that economic argument came from, that you can make too much money to still not be able to afford everything, like a healthcare emergency, like a major repair to the house or something like that. But you make too much money to qualify for any type of services. And so life gets difficult. And I mean, things have, but I also think we complain a lot about this income disparity, the 1% or whatever, being some kind of new phenomena. But the economics were the same 100 years ago in the
Yeah.
I'm
1920s.
so
Yeah.
glad you brought that up.
Yeah.
The what I think is happened. I thought a lot about this because I am not 1%. Let me be very clear.
Yeah,
But
but you're probably like 3%. I mean, we kind of all are. Like,
10. We're all
yeah,
in the 10.
easily.
Um,
Yeah.
and but I think, I think a lot of people misunderstand the 1%. The 1% is so far beyond. It's like a million to a billion, right? It's
Oh
a
my God.
totally different.
There's no
Yeah,
comparison at all.
it's
Yeah.
totally different. Because I've actually had people say, "Oh man, you're in the 10%. What do you have to worry?" I'm like, dude, do you have any idea the difference between me and the 5%?
Right.
Right?
Mm,
It's huge. But
mm.
what I think has happened, and good or bad, but I think we have gotten to a point where forget the 1%. It's just that we have so many people in the 20%. Remember, the 20%, if you're 20% or above, you're paying 80% of the taxes.
Mm.
80%. Okay. So there's so many people now in that block that the apparent disparity is more transparent. Right? It used to be you had your, your you had like five, the Rockefellers, whoever they were, right? They're
Mm,
like 5 to 12. Now we have 1,000.
Yeah.
Now, if you take that same exponential growth down the percentages,
mm.
all of a sudden the poor, who largely are the same poor that were poor before, it's a lot louder to them.
Though, I think this is so cultural too, like the perception. Because I mean, think about who said that? This is a great piece, and I'm totally going to botch it. But somebody talked about how like the central themes of music during
Mhm,
like the 60s and 70s, even the 50s and 40s with crooners and stuff like that. What was it? It was about love. Like
mhm.
those are the central, most common themes that most songs were written about. What is it now? Money,
Yep.
money. I mean, the most popular songs, what are they about? Making money, driving big cars, buying
It's
boats, all this
consumerism.
shit. It's consumerism. Exactly. And so we've set this inflated expectation of what we're all supposed to have. But you can't ignore the fact that there are people whose basic needs aren't met. And I find that to be unconscionable
Yeah,
in a world where I can go get Wagyu beef for
I
$800
know. So I was just
and
looking at,
and one guy can't even afford a fucking hamburger.
I was just
So
looking it up that the between 50 and 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck.
yeah.
Correct.
Right. And, I've seen the net of this. I remember when I first moved to the US and moved into this apartment, there's a big apartment complexes, that, and I was driving home one day and there was like the contents of the apartment outside on the lawn. I'm like, what the hell is that? So I ended up asking someone, says, oh yeah, they got evicted.
Mhm.
And then it got me thinking, it's like, yeah, well, I was like, how can that happen? I mean, because to me, it was like, why would that happen? Because, at the time, I'm like, oh, well, I know I moved from another country, but my mother lived in another country. I could always go there,
Mhm.
if shit hit the fan. But there's so many people that can't go there wherever there is because they're in a city. They've got no social network or social safety net. They've got no family safety net. They've got, but they've got commitments of, the rent and the children, what have you. They miss that paycheck. That's it.
So, uh,
Mm.
not
They,
quite,
they they've
but
got no one
I
to.
get your point, but eviction is not I missed the paycheck, I'm kicked out 3 days later,
Well, no,
right? That's a
no.
90-day process. What I think what you're alluding to, which I think is true, and was a point I made earlier, we don't have community in these cities. You don't we may, but someone who is on that path, the path of I'm gonna be evicted. I'm not gonna get into that, but a path of, I'm gonna be evicted, the path of, I just lost my job, I have, or whatever, and I'm going down a hole. And I'm not saying drugs, I'm just saying they're in trouble, right, within society. That is not an overnight process, number 1, and it used to be, and you still have this, and I mean, in my community alone, we have a dedicated Facebook group. And if someone needs a fence fixed and they're laid up or having medical problems, boom, community shows up and fixes the fence. No
Mm.
expectation.
But there is like, in most major cities, because I work for a nonprofit that
Sure.
deals with this, there are so many programs to help people in that situation that are
Yes.
funded by nonprofits. To help people get back to wherever they need to be if they find themselves, you're right. They do the people, people might be living paycheck to paycheck, but missing that paycheck then starts that 90-day process, if you will.
Right.
Very difficult to dig out of, but there are programs that are available to help people in that sort of situation. And the reason that most people don't take advantage of those or end up living under bridges is because of mental health issues.
Yeah. It's really a
Well,
pill and a paycheck that
Yeah.
separates all of us from the street in many
no,
ways.
certainly. And I think that we're starting to get to the point where we do need to close this out. But I do think one thing that we all agree we need to help people, right?
I think we
Uh,
agree with that. Yeah.
yeah, we agree. It's always the how,
Right, and that's
right?
always been the big argument. I think most people are good, and most people do want to leave a positive impact. I think we just have many different opinions about how we do that. I think you're right. And I just want to close out before we move into our closing though. I mean, another point about major cities. I think part of it might just be signal to noise too. I mean, there are tons of community, like the LARPing community in Atlanta
Mm-hmm.
used to be insane.
Yeah.
Seriously, you had like hundreds
No,
of
I
these
know,
things,
I know, I know.
and I mean, like, it's again, it's that shared interest. But when you're living in a giant city where you've got literally tens of thousands of these sub communities kind of transposed over one another, I think it's very hard to see that those communities have shape. When you're living in a smaller population where you're able to get 5,000 people or 2,000 people or 500 people all in the same Facebook group, that may be more of like in the context and relative to where you are, like a quote unquote global community for that region. But I think
Oh,
you'd find less
you
of them
know,
transposed.
but I'm going to lean into the privilege again, right?
Mm,
We have the privilege the LARPing community is a perfect example. When I was younger, I used to LARP.
it's the
Okay.
best. I had so much fun.
Yeah, we played.
Vincent looks up LARPing.
It's live action role play.
Okay.
We used to play vampire is what we would play.
All right.
Vampire
Yeah.
the
Yeah, I
Masquerade.
was super into Vampire.
The and we had the privilege of being able to do that for whatever reason. The person that Vincent's talking about, I
Mm,
bet, not only worked their ass off, worked it off possibly under the table, possibly for shit wages, likely for shit wages, and didn't have the privilege that we have, which is time. We
mm,
all have time. As
mm.
busy as you guys are with your traveling, you have the privilege to say no.
That
I
is the
have,
great equalizer. Yeah.
right? That's what comes back to, like, with me when I'm saying, like, I have to hold on to the fact that I can't be fired because otherwise, I mean, I have no clue what they're going what 60%, 50 to 60% of the United States people are going through when we offer these solutions. This is why I was kind of like, hey, we're in tech, we're up, lower upper class. I mean, we're white adjacent. Should we be doing this? Is because our privilege really does extend so far beyond them. I mean, like you said, the one thing we have that they don't, it's not money, it's time.
And options. Yeah. I think
Well, and that options are a part of time, right? You
yeah, no,
have that,
totally. And
I
I mean, the
think
studies have been done on that too. I mean, like, what's the most satisfying thing that you've ever paid for? It's probably not a thing. It was probably a
it's never a
service,
thing, it's an experience or yeah.
an experience or
Yeah.
getting somebody to do something for you. Like, I pay my yard guy. I fucking hate yard work. It's the best, like, $200 a month that I
Yeah,
spend.
totally worth it.
You know what I mean? Like those kinds of things. And that's what are
Well,
you doing? You're paying for time.
do you guys know who George McCohen is?
I don't think that doesn't
The
sound familiar.
essentialist?
No.
Not on my
Okay,
radar at
well,
all.
look him up.
Yeah.
He does the essentialist newsletter, really popular. We're not always successful, but we try to practice essentialism. One of the things he put out recently is that what does success look like? And
Yeah.
it was a list,
Yeah.
right? But one of the top 3 was a slow morning.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
what caught me about that was, you know what, this is what my morning looked like this morning. I got up at 6:30 without an alarm. I made myself coffee. I doom scrolled for about a half an hour, and then I played Civ 7 for 3 hours
Man,
before
fuck
I
you.
started work.
That sounds great.
Yeah, it was fucking 10:30. What happened was, I looked up because, Civ, they've got their nav bar and they have the time there. I'm like, "Oh shit, it's 10 o'clock. I need to." I mean, I do have a job, right? But that was my morning.
Yeah. Freedom.
You can't tell me that's what the morning of the person that for
No.
at least the 90 days before that furniture ended up on the lawn, that was not their morning.
No,
No.
absolutely not. Stress and a spiral and guilt, and who knows if there's kids in the picture too.
Exactly.
Yeah. So no, I think we're all in many ways kind of saying the same thing. It's very hard to get yourself out of a hole if you were either born in that hole or through a series of unfortunate events ended up in that hole. Um, it's not you're in a totally different headspace. It's so much harder to, it's like I used to exercise like a fiend. I was in insanely good shape when I met my wife. Then I had a couple of injuries. We had kids, craft beer hit the US, a lot of stuff happened. Now it is a lot harder for me to get back into that routine because I have less energy. It takes more effort to do it. I need to do these things because it's starting to impact my health. I'm 46 years old and I got to get a handle on this. But I am literally in a different situation and headspace than I was when I first started taking fitness very seriously in my mid 20s and mid 30s. And I think, situations change, circumstances change. And although I can overcome it, it's really hard. It's so much harder than it was. I mean, a couple of times in my life, I've dropped significant amount of weight. I was a heavy kid. I dropped 90 pounds in my 20s and got in insanely good shape. Then I gained a lot of weight back and I dropped 70 pounds and got in insanely good shape. And this is the third time around that I'm trying to do this. And it's really fucking hard.
Yeah.
It's what I find. I'm going to take a different take on that because obviously it's hard for those who can't afford a gym or a trainer or whatever.
There you go. I've got a
Uh,
$3,000 AI lifting machine right across from my desk. I mean, like,
yeah, but the what makes it so for myself, I recently did the same thing. A couple of years ago, I lost 50 pounds.
good for you.
I didn't gain it all back, but I gained back a good amount. And the reason for me, one is, I need an ankle, right? So it's
Mm.
it's a little hard. I can't lift weights. I can't run. I can't do anything like that. But what really makes it hard is I can afford at 7 o'clock in the morning to play Civ for 3 fucking hours, and my company is still making money.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
That
Yep.
makes it really damn hard to say, you know what? I should go walk 4 miles
Yeah.
or whatever, you
I think
know?
it's Jim Gaffigan was like, it's hard to find time to exercise when you really don't want to.
Yes. Right? Yes. All right, folks, let's close this out. Last words, Justin.
Um, be kind. I mean, I think at the end of the
Yes.
day, most of us do want to uplift those around us. They understand that is the best way to keep our society continuously in progress. But I think it's really hard too. I mean, I find myself getting pissed off at the littlest things, like a guy listening to YouTube too loud on his phone, and like 10 years ago, I would have been like, whatever, that guy's okay. Now I'm like, I hope he dies and rots in hell and it's a terrible experience. And I hope his plane crashes. It's like,
Just
I
wait
never
till
used
you're
to
over
be that way.
50.
So I didn't used to be that way. So I understand it's hard and something has changed, but I think I think if we go too deep, then we may hit an event horizon where we're not able to reclaim that humanity that we've had. That's really been the reason that our society, that our species has won
Mhm.
and been selected on this planet.
All right, Vincent, what do you got for us?
So no matter what it is that you do, like to lift up others or lift up yourself, like
Mm,
go to the gym, you got be consistent.
Mhm.
But consistency
mm,
is one of the hardest things ever.
yes.
Um, it's intent. I have a talk about this, but being intentional and consistent is so hard in anything in life.
In data and
Yeah,
in life.
yeah. So yeah, that's my
That's really good advice.
All right,
it's a statement, not really advice, but
I'd like to follow up and just reaffirm those two things and add something. Being kind is the ultimate importance. I recently had a phone call with one of our project managers, who's going to be essentially running and leading the company here in July for about 2 weeks because Amanda has to get surgery. Um, and one of the things that I told her is I said, a good leader is not nice, they are kind. And
I
there's a
like
very
that.
distinct difference,
Mm.
right? Kindness assumes discipline, responsibility, accountability delivered in a kind way. Being nice is just an excuse to not get shit done.
Mm.
And as far as Vincent, you're absolutely right. The intention and discipline is, I would love that you do a talk on that because I mean, I write a lot about that. I give a lot of presentations about that because if a good example, when I was speaking at Scale this year, I said, have you ever run into somebody who is speaking to you and they're doing, but okay, and those types of things? And the example I gave about that was they are not speaking with intention.
Mm.
They are not considering before they speak. And we all do it, but you can tell the person that is trying to make a point from an educated or wise position through intention,
Mhm.
I agree
right?
completely. Yeah. I think maybe we close out with another comedian quote that's served me well. When you should open your mouth. You answer 3 questions, and if you answer them all yes, then yes, you can go ahead and say something. Does this need to be said? Yes or no?
Yes or
Does
no?
this need to be said right now? Yes or no? Does this need to be said right now by me?
No, that's absolutely fantastic. And I
Brilliant.
and
Brilliant.
I will lean into that and say, protect your peace.
Mm.
All right, folks, this
PEAC.
has been another more than a refresh, the end of the universe. We will be back. We're going to take a break for a couple of months in the summer. We look forward to hearing from you. Go ahead and drop us a line.